The air hung heavy with the smell of dust and ash. Buildings, once proud testaments to human endeavor, now lay shattered. Twisted metal and broken concrete stretched towards the sky. A once vibrant city, now a graveyard of shattered dreams. This is Syria today. The silence was broken only by the wind whistling through the shattered windows of hollow buildings. A lone shoe lay in the street, a poignant reminder of the life that once was. The world watched in horror as Syria, once a beacon of history and culture, crumbled. The world wondered how this could happen. How could a nation be torn apart, its people scattered to the winds? This is the story of Syria, a nation in turmoil, a people caught in the grip of a brutal conflict. In the heart of Damascus, a once imposing portrait of Bashar al-Assad now hung askew. Time and the ravages of war had taken their toll. The once vibrant colors were now faded, the glass cracked, a metaphor for his grip on power. Assad, once seen as a beacon of hope by some, had become a symbol of oppression and brutality. The man who promised reform delivered only violence and bloodshed, his legacy forever stained by the blood of his own people. From the ashes of despair, a new force emerged. The HTS, a powerful and determined opposition group, grew in strength. They were fueled by the suffering of their people, their resolve hardened by years of oppression. They were not an army of liberators, but a force born of necessity. They fought for their homes, their families, their right to exist. The world watched with bated breath as the battle for Syria raged on. The presidential palace in Damascus, a symbol of power for decades, stood witness to the unfolding drama. It was here that Hafez al-Assad, Bashar's father, had ruled with an iron fist. Now his son's grip on power seemed to be slipping away. The legacy of Hafez, a complex tapestry of stability and oppression, loomed large over Syria. He had built a regime on the foundations of fear and control, a legacy that his son seemed determined to uphold no matter the cost. Section 5. From Hope to Despair. The early days of Bashar al-Assad's rule were filled with hope. Many believed that he would usher in an era of reform and openness. People dared to dream of a brighter future, one free from the shackles of the past. But the hope was short-lived. The promised reforms never materialized, and the iron fist of the regime tightened its grip. The people of Syria, once filled with optimism, now faced a bleak and uncertain future. Section 6. Crushing Dissent. The streets of Syria, once filled with the laughter of children, now echoed with the sounds of gunfire and screams. Peaceful protests met with brutal force transformed into a desperate struggle for survival. Tanks rolled down once peaceful avenues, their treads crushing the hopes and dreams of a nation. The world watched in horror as the Syrian government unleashed its full might against its own people. Section 7. A nation displaced. Millions of Syrians, their lives shattered by the relentless violence, were forced to flee their homes. Families were torn apart, their dreams reduced to the meager possessions they could carry. They sought refuge in neighboring countries, their lives in limbo, their futures uncertain. The human toll of the Syrian conflict was staggering, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of war. Section 8. A new banner unfurled. Amidst the chaos and destruction, a new symbol of resistance emerged. Abu Muhammad al-Golani, the enigmatic leader of the HTS, rallied his followers. He promised them victory, a chance to rebuild their shattered lives. His words resonated with those who had lost everything. They were tired of war, tired of suffering, desperate for a glimmer of hope. But the path to peace was fraught with danger, and the outcome far from certain. Section 9. The shadow of foreign influence. The Syrian conflict, once a local uprising, had become a proxy war, a complex web of international interests. Russia and Iran, with their own agendas, poured weapons and fighters into the country. The United States, wary of getting bogged down in another Middle Eastern conflict, hesitated. The Syrian people, caught in the crossfire of global politics, seemed destined to become pawns in a larger game. Section 10. Dawn over Ruins. As the sun rose over the ruined cityscape, casting long shadows over the rubble, a group of Syrian families huddled together. They had lost everything, their homes, their livelihoods, their loved ones. Yet in their eyes there was a flicker of hope. The hope that one day the guns would fall silent, the fighting would cease, and they could begin to rebuild their shattered lives. The future was uncertain, but the human spirit, much like the rising sun, was resilient.